We're facing a concussion epidemic. You've most likely read about the class action lawsuit against the NFL and the $1 billion settlement. You may have heard about the dramatic rise in the number of adolescents in emergency rooms with concussions. 4 to 7 million people sustain a brain injury every year in North America, the majority concussions, with an associated $80 billion in direct healthcare costs. Current solutions are simply inadequate. There's no clinically validated way to quickly and accurately determine whether the brain's functioning normally or is impaired. This is standard of care. How many fingers am I holding up? Who's the president of the United States? Proper assessment and management is critical for the treatment and care of the patient, for making accurate return to work, return to learn decisions, for improving patient outcomes, and for reducing healthcare costs. We've developed a proprietary, state-of-the-art platform solution to accurately, rapidly, and objectively assess brain status. We're initially focused on concussion, but we think there's application in epilepsy, Alzheimer's, severe traumatic brain injury, and others. So in a nutshell, there's a custom headset with specialized EEG technology, a proprietary stimulus delivery system, a comprehensive data analysis engine driven by machine learning algorithms. The device is placed on the head. A button's pushed. 5 minutes later, the test is done. A few minutes after that, a score for brain status is generated and displayed. Essentially, we're testing the reflexes of the brain. So like the doctor who taps your knee with a hammer, we stimulate the brain 350 times in 5 minutes and objectively assess the way the brain responds along the 5 key neurological indices most relevant for consciousness: low-level brain function, sensation, perception, attention, and higher-level cognitive activity, memory, and language. The concussion market is a significant opportunity. We've assessed our total addressable marketplace in excess of $2.5 billion. We're taking a relatively traditional but proven approach to our market strategy. We're initially targeting key opinion leaders and researchers in concussion. They'll drive early interest and validation with clinical studies and publications in scientific journals. Sports are early adopters of concussion technology. They are facing significant challenges in this very area, and they have money to spend, as Mr. Cuban might validate. We've had early dialogue and interest from professional sports. And then there's other market opportunities we expect to unfold over time. We'll make money in 2 different ways, through one-time sales and recurring revenue streams. We'll sell devices as one-time sales, and for recurring revenue streams, we'll be able to sell the consumables used in each and every test, so the razor and the razor blade model. And just to summarize on the strategic profile, we have a strong management team with the key skills relevant to the business: the experienced entrepreneur, the practicing neurologist, the leading neuroscientist, and the IP and regulatory expert. Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you, Mindful Scientific. Can I try on that thing? Let's see.
Don't bust it.
Okay. Teresa, what do you think?
I think it looks really awesome on you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A couple of questions. You talked about the science and the clinical trials. Can you tell us a little bit about the source of the scientific intellectual property and what tests, what clinical trials or other tests have been conducted so far?
Yeah, so the science behind the device is something called ERPs, event-related potentials. So they're minuscule deflections.
But I mean, from which university? Who's the researcher?
Okay, so the science comes from the National Research Council in Canada and Dalhousie University. So 2 different researchers that collaborated together. We've filed a patent family, and we have 6 patents in national phase at the moment.
And what about any testing that's been done?
Yeah, we've done a series of clinical studies. We started with normals. We did severe traumatic brain injury to prove that we could differentiate between the different disorders of consciousness. We've done a whole series of athlete and concussion studies. We're kind of unique in that we've done pre and post. We're probably the only group that actually has this extensive kind of data, so we can actually compare pre-injury to post.
So, great, very confident presentation.
Thank you.
Going after a big market, big problem, I would give it an 8 overall. I wish that I know there's not a lot of time, but obviously I'm a data person. I would love to get more information about why you think this is efficacious and what the early studies show.
All right, thank you.
Maybe you'll give me time later then.
You know there's a ton of competition here, and there's a lot of money going there, right?
Correct.
Is this a diagnostic or a rehabilitation tool?
It's a diagnostic, but that it could be used for rehabilitation.
So the goal, what is the exact goal? So if I bring it into the Mavericks and I have somebody that bangs their head against the floor like Steph Curry did in the finals,
Right.
we put it on, what should I expect?
So you should expect that you would have a more comprehensive decision in terms of whether he should go back or not. So it would replace the concussion protocol that you actually use now, or it would
So
be,
are you telling me it will diagnose whether or not there is a concussion, or whether or not it's resolved a minute later, or?
it will assess his brain status and compare to, well, in this case, because you're sports and he's
To benchmarks we already have. Okay.
Correct.
What about FDA approval?
So it's a 510K process. We started the work. We're gathering the data now. It's with predicate, non-invasive, so that's typically a 1 to 9 month process.
Okay, so you're not looking to offer this through the FDA with FDA approval as a resolution mechanism, but more of a clinical diagnostic recommendation.
Well, initially, it'll be a tool for the doctor in his kit bag.
Okay, so just a benchmark relevance, comparing to benchmark. Okay, so the presentation was good, the opportunity is good, there's a ton of competition, but if it works, there's huge upside, so I'll give it a 7.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Well, I am.
I have a couple of questions. Is that a Bluetooth device to a device right? Because
This is a design prototype, but the real device is Bluetooth.
okay, so I got that one. And the technology is it scanning the brain using infrared? Is it what?
Yeah.
It's infrared.
No, it's EEG, so we're actually looking at the electrical activity of the brain.
Okay, and the athlete or whoever's using that, is there data stored somewhere so you know the difference between the trauma that's caused to the brain at that point in time versus what their head condition was before that?
Yeah, so in our clinical studies, we're actually storing the data on the machine. We've also done some testing where we're storing the data in the cloud. So the brain scan data can be stored either way. And so theoretically, if they did the test at the court, now you're in emergency and they want to look at the data, they could theoretically pull it down from the cloud.
Right. Yeah. So it is a competitive space.
Correct.
My advice I know who to call right now to tell them about this, and that's somebody like Kevin Plank at Under Armour. So Under Armour is like this disruptive, the unlikely candidate. Nike never saw them coming. No disrespect if Nike's here. They didn't see Under Armour coming. Right. So Under Armour is in this world. Yeah. I would try my hardest to try to hunt down Kevin Plank and have him see that, because the vision of having a device for every athlete and their data in a cloud, I wanted to play football. I got a concussion. I was like, I'm going to start rapping because I ain't going to get hit in the head.
So what's your score, Will? Will, so what's your score?
I'll give you a 9 because it's awesome.
All right, wow.
You'll give me a 9 and the contact information and the connection.
Oh, yeah, for a percentage.
Save the hustle for later.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Murdoch.
All right.
I thought your presentation, your answers have been terrific. But have you got any endorsements from great neurologists?
Yes. So our chief medical officer actually, our chief scientific advisor sits on the Zurich Concussion Committee. So this is the biggest group that essentially looks at the protocol every 2 years. So he's on our scientific advisory board.
Could I use it if I can't remember someone's name?
We can try it.
I'd certainly give you a 9. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. It's time for the answer. The audience favorite is Mindful Scientific.